Hey, what's up, brother?
What up, man? It's another beautiful day.
Yes, sir.
It's
It's
weird
always a good
though.
day when we talk about football.
We started on Wednesdays and then we went on Tuesdays. And then I was thinking like, oh man, it's Wednesday. It feels weird us doing it in the middle of the week, bro.
I know, but it all works out. Our schedules worked out that we get to do it today instead of yesterday,
Right.
and it kind of worked out. There's some more news that came out today versus yesterday, and it's going to be some good content for tonight. But we'll jump right into it. As always, we'll start off the show by thanking Miss Michelle. My wife finally just got her hoodie. She loves it. But always remember, go check out those hoodies, t-shirts, bombshellbowling.com /loudmouth sports talk. She does an amazing job helping us out with all of our apparel. But without her, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of stuff that we're doing with StreamYard and stuff like that. But getting right into it. I guess the biggest news for the NFL, even though we're not going to see it come full spin for another week, but the Miami Dolphins announced that Tua is going to be their starting quarterback here on out, at least obviously as long as his performance holds up. And obviously, we had a report today with the follow up from Ryan Fitzpatrick that he was kind of heartbroken and kind of hurt by it, which, again, I assumed was going to happen. Everybody else was like, oh, he understands it. But I guess the same kind of conversation that the ownership or coaching had with Tua, with getting him so many starts this year, didn't reach Ryan Fitzpatrick because he was under the assumption that it was his team and basically his job to lose, which, in our opinion, I think he didn't really do anything to lose it. But again, I guess it's Tua time now. They have a bye week this week. And then he gets to face Aaron Donald. So that's going to be fun.
So here's I'm not even gonna get into Sean's idiot. We're not gonna do that. I'm trying to be in a good mood, trying to, keep on moving on. We promised that I wasn't going to say anything about Big Ben, right? Like, that was not on the slate of what we
Well,
wanted to
since
talk about.
Le'Veon Bell said something, I figured it was going to come up eventually. But
Okay. But here's my thing. So, for anybody who's saying, like, and I hate it, it's Tua, and I think me and you are on the same page. We know Tua is the future. We understand that he's the project. We get that he can improve. But why? The Dolphins are playing complementary football. They're not a bad football team.
no.
And they just came off of a 40. What did they just do? I mean, granted, it was against the Jets, but they took care of the Jets. I mean, like, and then a week before they won. So and when they lose, it's not like they're losing games because they're getting blown out. Like, it sucks, man. Like, and everybody wants to talk about, oh, Ryan Fitzpatrick, oh, he plays shitty, he'll play good for 8 games, bad for 8 games. Please tell me one fucking football team that he was on that looked good. Because you can't find one. So you can't find one. And again, only thing I understand, I guess, is like, okay, they're 3-3. They're coming off a bye week, so if you want to get them going, you start it now. Yeah, they have Aaron Donald, and then their schedule's favorable.
Ish.
But at the same time, man, like, what? If Tua sucks, do you go back? You don't go back to Ryan Fitzpatrick. At this point, you stick with Tua unless an injury happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, at this point, with putting him in at now, saying they have full confidence of him, and basically handing him the keys by, I hope that he does well. But if he doesn't do well, and maybe he doesn't start off hot, or maybe he has an Andy Dalton game and just looks like less than like a high school game. You going back, putting him in, giving him basically the reins, and then taking him back to put Ryan Fitzpatrick back in, even though, again, Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing really well right now, putting him back in over Tua, I don't care how mature Tua might be, you break his confidence of what he's able or what he was even able to do. That's my biggest thing. Is I hope he's ready, but by putting him in now versus hanging out for no other reason than because they want to get him going, there's the high potential of breaking his confidence.
I just hate the fact, and I love what you said, Sean, because Sean makes some really great points. Like, just because of how well Burrows and Justin Herbert are doing, it makes you think like, oh, well, we got this guy who's better than them, right? Because I think you and I agree, Tua was the best guy. Like, and I said that, like, I felt like Tua is the best quarterback in the, like, he is just accurate. Like, he's good. But I mean, Herbert, I think is just he surprised me. I think we talked about that. Like, you follow him a lot from Oregon. I didn't, but like I knew he was good. And I think the one game I watched was when they lost to Arizona State or Arizona, which kind of threw me off because he had a bad game. And if that's the first game I seen, I'm going to judge it by that. But you can't do what everybody else has done. Yeah, Tua is playing. I mean, Joe Burrows is playing great, but they're fucking losing. Justin Herbert is playing great, but they're fucking losing. Like, the problem is, I hate it because there was some stuff where it's like the Dolphins get blitzed and pressured the most, but they are first in sacks against or something because they're getting the ball out quick with Ryan Fitzpatrick. If Tua is struggling to read coverages and holding onto the ball, he's going to get hurt. Like, it, and for me, I feel like nobody wants to follow the Kansas City Chiefs idea of how to bring a young quarterback in, which is the blueprint.
I mean, as much as you hate Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that's another blueprint.
Right.
I mean, he sat and waited,
Yes.
and he obviously succeeded.
Right.
Ben didn't have to wait as long,
Yeah.
but he sat and waited.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that got thrown in and are doing okay.
Right.
But the blueprint for a good quarterback in a franchise like elite quarterback is sitting behind somebody and go.
And even still, Pat Mahomes got drafted, and I know he got drafted into an already like mega team, but he was able to sit with no pressure and just be a young guy. Like, we're forcing Herbert to grow up. We're forcing Burrow to grow up. We forced Deshaun Watson to grow up. But Deshaun Watson had 4 years and played against Alabama for his last 2 years, who has one of the most complicated defenses. He was already pro ready. Like, you can't put Tua in a situation to where, he's healthy and he must have looked great in practice, but now it's all on him. And the Dolphins are 1 game back from the AFC East lead. They're in second place right now. So you're going to tell me that Tua, he could, and again, I want people to understand, we're not saying that he can't, right? Like, we think his ceiling is high. We think he's going to be a star. But Fitzpatrick did nothing to show that he couldn't continue to win football games.
Right. And again, we're also not very far out of him having a very bad hip injury.
Agreed.
And pretty much, I feel like every year he was a starter at Bama, he had a significant injury.
Yeah, he had his left ankle had surgery. Then he had his right ankle had surgery. His knee was bothered up. His hip was bothered. Then he had surgery. So, I mean,
like I said, I think I think he's going to be a very good NFL quarterback, just because of I really like Brian Flores. I like what Miami's doing.
Agreed.
But like again, we look at Justin Herbert playing. Well, he's in there because of an injury.
Facts.
Obviously, Burrow is playing because the Bengals just said "fuck it" and decided to give the keys to Burrow and had no interest in keeping Andy Dalton around.
Kyler Murray is the same way.
I mean, Kyler Murray's the same way.
But he doesn't look that great. They
No,
just beat the
I mean,
Dallas Cowboys
he was 9 for 24 the other night.
and completed 9 fucking passes.
Yeah. Now, granted, he didn't make any mistakes or didn't cost Arizona the game.
Right.
But 9 for 24 isn't a good look for a starting quarterback,
Right.
especially if you're the gonna be franchise quarterback for that team, presumably unless something real bad happens.
Agreed. So I just think it's hard, man. Like, and you could tell, like, I felt this year was different for him because he looked more comfortable. Like, everybody wants to talk about, oh, he's a better backup than a starter. Show me one team that he had. Do we want to talk about when he was with the Bengals? Because the Bengals sucked. Do we want to talk about when he was with the Bills? Because the Bills sucked. Do we want to talk about when he was with the Buccaneers? Because the Buccaneers suck. Do we want to talk about when he was with the Jets? Because the Jets suck. I mean, every single team he's been on, he's been a one guy to bring a spark, and then he plays bad because he starts trying to be better than what he is, right? And of course, you can compare him to Nick Foles. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the league. I'm not saying he's top 10. I'm saying he is a guy who you can win football games with. You can win playoff football games.
He's a veteran, journeyman,
right.
like quarterback savior, I'll say.
Right.
Like,
if people want to use Nick Foles, prime example, look at the Bears. He is doing not great, but he's not killing them. He is winning them football games. He is protecting the football. Like we talked about this all the time. Since when did becoming a game manager become a bad thing? If you can run the damn ball, which we already know how we feel about that, and if you can play great defense, right, run the damn ball and play great defense, then you're probably going to be in a playoff game.
Right. Like I said, I hope that he's able to do it. I just, like I said, with how Fitzpatrick is playing right now, I just don't know why you rush it. And like that, I feel like I'm saying this on a weekly basis. But that's like the struggle I have with the NFL is I understand you're paying. I mean, even Tua's not getting that. I mean, he's making a decent penny. Obviously, being a first-round draft pick. But I mean, I just don't see the necessary reason to rush into this.
But then again, on the opposite side, if I play devil's advocate and I look at it, they're 3-3. If he's as good as me and you think he is, then can they compete for a title, the AFC East? I mean, he's on a bye week, so he'll have an extra week to prepare. I think they look at it as, well, two things are going to happen. He's either going to be really good and we can win football games because he can be better than Fitzpatrick, which we agree with, or he loses and he struggles and he's not who we turned him out to be, so we move on from him.
Yeah, like I was listening to Pat McAfee. My only issue is, and like I think the only reason they did this this early, because I think they had this planned to let him take over after the bye week, but shit got jumbled around because of COVID. But as of right now, they're so like you said, they're on a bye week now. Then they face the Rams. Then they have to go out to Arizona, which is going to be interesting between the two young quarterbacks. And honestly, if the Cardinals play like they did against the Dallas Cowboys, granted they have a beat-up line, that's going to be very interesting. Then he has to go with a draft mate with the Chargers. Then they have the Broncos. That's honestly where I would have put him in. Or they have the Jets the following week. Then they have the Bengals, Chiefs, Pats, Raiders, Bills to finish out the season. But that Broncos, Jets, Bengals kind of stretch is where I would have rather, if you would have done it, I'd rather see it there, like against those struggling teams versus.
I wouldn't want them against the Broncos because the Broncos defense is really good. Like
they've gotten better.
Yeah,
now.
right. I mean, like they confuse you. Vic Fangio throws a lot of different schemes at you, and they come after you. Like you're gonna get blitzed. So I wouldn't put him. But like you said, the Jets and the Bengals. But then by that time, like that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking of it, and maybe we think it's a bad call. But then again, I mean, fuck it. If you really want to put your chips to the table, and we think he is who he is, then right now is the perfect time. You're one game back. You're 3-3, which means Fitzpatrick didn't do enough to kill you, but he did good enough to win you some football games. If you feel like you have the team to compete in the playoffs, then you look at what you got, I guess.
Yeah. But like I said, I guess we'll see what happens. Like I said, I hope Aaron Donald doesn't kill the poor kid. But again, as we keep joking about with him week in and week out, him being that it's Aaron Donald.
Except Sunday. Shout out to the right guard from the San Francisco 49ers. He played him great all game long.
Yeah, that was the first time that I've actually seen like Aaron Donald more or less like eliminated.
1-on-1. Not with a group. I mean, he was 1-on-1 contained. He didn't get shut down. He got contained. Because you can't shut that motherfucker. You got to tranquilize his big ass with horse tranquilizer. But what's next?
So moving into like running backs that we have. So Chris Johnson from the Tennessee Titans, or former Tennessee Titan, came out and said that the Tennessee Titans have one of the best rosters historically of running backs. Obviously, naming himself Derrick Henry, Eddie George, and
Dorsett? No,
Eric Campbell.
Eric Campbell.
And again, technically Campbell wasn't a Titan, but the Tennessee Titans technically is the same holder or ownership of what the Houston Oilers was. So they obviously still have that lineage. Arguably, he's not wrong. I feel like he had like 4 good years with the Titans. Obviously, one of the seasons being his 2,000-yard rushing season that really put him on the map as a running back outside of his like 4.2 speed, 4.1 speed. My only issue with him, and as much as like we like Derrick Henry and we've kind of talked about running backs in the past, Derrick Henry's done his thing, but it's only been obviously this year and then last year. Chris Johnson, if you look at his stats, he only had.
Did you just say Zeke only had 2 years?
Huh?
Did you say Zeke only did his thing for this year and last year?
Well, I mean, he got like his big name off of last year.
Ezekiel Elliott or Derrick Henry?
No, Derrick Henry.
Oh, okay. Thank God, because I almost fucking what?
You're talking about Tennessee there, big ball.
I was about to fucking. I swear you said Zeke. I almost hit you. But go ahead.
After Monday night's game, Zeke needs to fucking find God or something. But prior to that night, Zeke needed to find God, but that's besides the point. Earl Campbell, my bad. I was close. But where was I at? Oh, Chris Johnson had only like a 4-year span where like he was a dominant running back. Then after he left the Titans, he just wasn't even close to the same kind of guy. But again, you look at like the Dallas Cowboys was brought up, even the Pittsburgh Steelers. Trying to think of other teams that were brought up whenever he said that. Those were the two that obviously stuck into my mind, just with pretty much legendary running backs. But again, I mean, it wasn't like big news, but I thought it was something decent that we could touch on. And I don't think he was too far off base, but he wasn't exactly correct in my mind.
So he has a you can put him up there, but as long as you have, I don't know, Ezekiel Elliott, I don't know, Emmitt Smith, and I don't know if you ever heard of this guy, but I'm pretty sure Tony Dorsett played for, I'm pretty sure they were all a part of the same franchise, right? I think so.
Yeah.
How do you argue with that? I mean, and then on top of that, the Rams, who we didn't talk about. I mean, Steven Jackson, you had Marshall Faulk.
People forget about him all the time.
Right. People forget Steven Jackson is like a real person who was Derrick Henry before Derrick Henry was a thing. And like, he was better than Derrick Henry. He did it for more years on the shitty.
He definitely had a much longer stint, yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Tony Dorsett, right? He played for them, I'm pretty sure. Or no. Why do I keep Eric Dickerson? I need to stop getting this shit confused. All those old fucking guys, I'm so sorry. It was definitely.
All you see is goggles and bull noses.
Yeah, the goggles, right. So, like, the Rams are up there. Then Le'Veon Bell, because you could put him on there as a Steeler, great running back. Jerome Bettis.
Franco, Rocky
Blyer. I mean, that's hard to beat. Like, that's hard to beat. How do you leave out Walker from Dallas and Dickerson from the Rams? Who's Walker?
Damn it. Georgia Bulldog. He was
Herschel.
Thank you.
Wow.
My brain cells were not connecting. I'm like, I can see his face, but I can't think of his name.
I didn't leave out Dickerson from the Rams. I said it.
Yeah, Herschel. Thanks, JR.
So I think I see where he's going because of the potential of Derrick Henry. But I don't think Derrick Henry, and I say this, like, when we talk about best in the game, I don't look at it as 1 year. I don't look at it as 2 years. I look at it for 3-4 years, you being the best dude. Like, Christian McCaffrey has shown since he entered the league that he took it from Zeke. But Zeke was number 2, right? Like, Zeke, his first 2-3 years in the game, took it from Le'Veon Bell, right? Like, Le'Veon Bell was the best back. We was hyped up on Le'Veon Bell, and then Zeke said, hold my bear. Not only am I going to run through Ohio State, but I'm going to run through every motherfucker because I got this entire offensive line in front of you. Who else stands out to me? There was another one I was thinking about. I was thinking.
The Bengals had some decent running backs.
Yeah.
What the fuck is his name? God damn it. Jamal Lewis.
Corey Dillon.
Yeah. That Joe Mixon guy is pretty decent.
Yeah, but he don't do it. Like, I'm not giving him credit.
Well, I mean, he's not like at the same stature, but I mean, if we're talking about teams and running backs, I mean, that's pretty decent.
Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson. That's a good point.
Yeah. I wish Bo would have had a longer career.
The Browns could be up there.
The Bears.
Nah, they don't have any modern great. I mean, well,
no,
Matt Forte, but like,
yeah, they have more legendary guys.
Like Buffalo, Freddie Jackson. Like, I think the modern day is what gets guys. Like, we could look at the history of great running backs, But then like their modern running backs, you don't really have that. Like, you know, the Colts, Edgerrin James. Hey, AR, good point. See, look at that. That's perfect timing.
Well, so we'll kind of transition off of this.
Okay.
But speaking of modern day running backs, and I'm already going to light a fucking fire. So your boy, Le'Veon Bell.
My boy. Is that a black joke?
No. You like Le'Veon. You're a mess.
Why you gotta be my boy?
Because you love Le'Veon. You always fight for him whenever I talk shit.
Cause man, I mean, you just gotta be real. Like, don't speak on a man's money. But anyway.
No. Are you going to back him up now? There's a news article today. Obviously, he's now with the Kansas City Chiefs on a 1-year deal. And he said, thankfully, now playing with Patty Mahomes, he actually called him Patty Mahomes. He is now playing with an MVP caliber quarterback.
No, he said MVP. See, the media trying to paint him out as the bad guy. He said, I have never played with an MVP. That's what he said. The media put the MVP caliber type of dude.
Either
That's
way.
what he said. This is, again, the media wants to fucking paint Le'Veon Bell as the bad guy, and guys like this motherfucker over here wants to run with it and ruin him when he didn't even say that. All he said was, I get to play with an MVP and I get to play with Patty Mahomes. But everybody else wants to run it up and tear this man's fucking resume. Put some respect on Le'Veon Bell's name. All I'm saying is he's about to tear it up, and ain't nobody gonna stop him.
Ben technically never won an MVP.
There ain't technically, motherfucker, he did it. What are you mean?
Huh?
He never won an MVP.
Yeah, correct.
Right,
and he was never named All-Pro.
Which is absurd, because, you know, there's some overrated guy in Green Bay that fucking gets All-Pro every year.
Well, that's because he wins it in the NFC.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when you have Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in the same division for your first fucking, I don't know, 13 years in the league. I mean, I guess that counts.
Fucking years.
Yeah.
And then by the time they fucking retire,
Pat Mahomes,
you this kid fucking Pat Mahomes that throws fucking hand grenades. And but nobody pays any mind to that shit.
I reread the Bleacher Report thing before when you showed me it, and before when we were talking about it. So he did not say, "Oh, I never played with an MVP."
Nah, the media definitely spun that shit.
Absolutely.
But speaking of your boy, Big Ben,
I got all these boys. Okay, that's my guy.
So his best friend, AB, is now back in the news. He's now either 1 week or 2 weeks, something like that, away from finishing his suspension. And obviously his name's back in the media. They're starting to say that the Seattle Seahawks are going to be aiming to pick up AB, which will be absolutely nuts if Russell Wilson gets another weapon like AB, especially if AB's been staying in any kind of actual decent shape.
So
hold on, Vic, to answer Vic real quick. Our NFL picks, we're unfortunately just with scheduling, we're not doing like an actual live show anymore for our NFL picks, but they'll be posted as of Sunday morning. Usually about 10 o'clock is when I usually try to post it. And then me and Courtney go over our picks at the end of this show.
So after football season, I'll be going live Sunday mornings to be able to do it. So hopefully we win a state title, so the end of November, beginning of December. But if not, I'll go. But let me. Oh, you trying to make me do it, Isaiah? No real receivers. Have you ever heard of a guy named Donald Driver? Have you ever heard of a guy named Jordy Nelson? Have you ever heard of Randall Cobb? Have you ever heard of Mercedes Lewis? Have you ever heard of, I don't know, Devontae Adams? Stop making fucking excuses. I'm tired of that. I ain't gonna, George, I ain't gonna do it because I said I wouldn't do it. I am not going to do it unless you let me unleash on this punk ass guy. I'm tired of hearing Isaiah. I'm tired of him. I'm tired of him. Greg Jennings was a real person. I'm pretty sure he was there. Freaking punk ass. There's always an excuse. What about when Big Ben lost the AFC Championship to New England because Antonio Brown didn't play? Le'Veon Bell didn't play. Did we make an excuse for that? No, we didn't. What Hall of Famer receivers do Big Ben have? Hines Ward isn't one. As much as we love him and want him to be a part of it, he's not a Hall of Fame receiver. We have never said Hines Ward is the best receiver in the game, ever. We said he's the best blocking receiver. He's the toughest receiver, but that don't get you fucking bonus points. We have never said, oh, man, if I was to draft a team, I'm picking Hines Ward number 1. No, you ain't getting on the show. Hell no. No, you ain't getting on the damn show.
All right, so what is your opinion about AB coming back, possibly with Seattle?
I think AB, I don't like Seattle. I think it ruins DK Metcalf. I think it slows him down. And then they got Tyler Lockett. They got that Morris kid. They got a good thing there. I think AB needs to go to Green Bay. I mean, give Aaron Rodgers Green Bay, and hopefully all those little punk-ass fans can shut the hell up, because then when he collapses in the playoffs, y'all have nothing else to say because he has the best wide receiver in the game. But to be honest, give Aaron Rodgers – see, and that's the thing. You put Devontae Adams, AB, Lazar, and all those guys, you give Aaron Rodgers –
Lazar's on IR.
Who?
I'm pretty sure Lazar is on IR.
Okay, well, what's the other one's name? They got 2 of them.
I don't know. That's how irrelevant their wide receivers are.
Who else could he go to? I mean, are we getting Deshaun Watson some help? No? Because it don't
No,
seem like,
well,
I don't know.
First off, AB being a free agent, he's going to only go to a team that is playoff viable.
Yeah. Okay, so Houston's out. So I think Seattle. I don't know. I just don't like. I don't like Seattle for the fact that, like, you got DK Metcalf. It's working.
I don't like the Seattle Seahawk idea just because of the chemistry that they already have. Almost the same reason why I don't think him going to, like, in Arizona would help. Possibly the Chargers, but that name has never been brought up. And honestly, I highly doubt Anthony Lynn would bring AB into that locker room. Possibly the Bears, but I highly doubt AB goes to that frigid of a team.
You know who I like him with? I can see him with the 49ers.
Everybody was talking about the Ravens, but I don't see that happening.
Well, no, I do see that. The Ravens can work because they got Hollywood Brown, his cousin. He got a relationship with Lamar Jackson, and that gives him the threat outside the numbers. I can see the Ravens make sense. That would be a very good one.
I don't see that. JR said back to the Raiders, but I highly doubt that, just with his horse shit that he ran out cheering whenever they fucking released him. I don't see the Saints unless Michael Thomas is shut down for a long period of time, which, again, Michael Thomas and AB in the same locker room is a death sentence. Him going to the Ravens would be a giant fuck you to the Steelers, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I do. I think it could. Like, there's a good chance.
I know Lamar Jackson was talking about it. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I get, but then again, I'm still surprised that the Seattle Seahawks continues to come up. I don't see Russell Wilson and AB meshing very well.
Could the Bills be one?
That would be interesting. Him and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Shit, him going to Philly would definitely fucking help, especially since they have all fucking practice players right now.
True.
Me and one of my coworkers were talking about that shit yesterday. He's a Philly fan because he's from like the Harrisburg area, and we were talking about like the average NFL roster game day roster right now is 48 because of COVID and everything like that. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles have 38 players either on IR or on the injury list. And I giggle, but I feel bad for all those guys. But this is like a 3-year running thing right now for the Eagles where they're just depleted in so many different like meeting rooms that it's like genuinely just sad. I feel like anytime they actually get some shit rolling, they have 76 wide receivers hurt. Like right now, they only have one starting offensive lineman, which is Jason Kelce. Everybody else is either a second, third, or fourth string offensive lineman.
Check that. Not only do they only have one Jason Kelce, that's the only guy who played in the Super Bowl on the entire offense.
At this point now, yeah, fuck.
Like, but everybody wants to say Carson Wentz is overrated. Man, stop it.
I mean, he gets in his head too much. But then again, like
we just said, he has no receivers, he has no O-line. You think you would be in your head a little much? I fucking think so. Absolutely.
Shit,
especially
put that on your back.
People are saying, oh, well, like, oh, is he worth it? Is he worth $1 million?
They are. Lane Johnson's been in and out of the lineup basically since camp, unfortunately. I think he's been dealing with an ankle injury. I think it's ankle.
Yeah, he pancaked TJ Watt and then left the game.
Yeah. But, like, Philly would be interesting, but that division's so – well, I mean, fuck. They could make the playoffs, and at this point, the Eagles could win 5 fucking games and possibly make the playoffs.
Now, another thing, it has said, do you think Philly should – I mean, whoever wins that horrible, disgusting division, do they need to go on the road for a playoff game? And it's like, at the end of the day, they get a home game. I don't want to mix up.
I honestly think that we should reseed. Like, yes, you get an automatic playoff bid, but if you win your division, but I don't think that you get home field advantage if you're sub 500.
No, but at the end of the day, you do what you got to do. Like, it's not fair that a team goes 13-3 and has to be on the road, but it happened with the Colts. I mean, it's a part of who you are, man. Like.
Yeah, but this is what year 2 or 3 now that the NFC East is just a fucking joke.
I mean, really, if you want to be honest, year 20. They've been a joke the whole fucking. Besides when Carson Wentz got together, I mean, the NFC East has always been a joke as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been. I mean, well, other than
at least this decade, in the 2010s, they were disgusting. Yep, that was true. It was after the Saints Super Bowl, the year after they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, but yeah, where AB falls, I'll be very interested. I still think it's funny that Earl Thomas is still on the waiver wire. He had a workout with Houston Texans, and then they told him mid-workout to go the fuck home. I forgot to talk about that a long time ago. That happened like 3-4 fucking weeks ago. That shit was hysterical. Mid workout, they're like, nah, bro, we're good. So again, I don't have a huge list of guys that are potential trade moves. But the one quick thing I wanted to talk about trade deadline is allegedly Atlanta is trying to shop Julio Jones, which I think is fucking nuts. But I can only imagine they're probably going to try to get a first-round draft pick. Good timing, JR. But yeah, so they're again, Julio's being shopped. If they're shopping JJ Watt out of Houston, I feel god awful. I mean, not that obviously JJ does anything really much for Deshaun Watson other than maybe get him back the ball, but JJ being on the block is kind of interesting. Also, Mark Madden here in Pittsburgh was trying to say that they should shop Julio, god damn it, Juju, to try to get a replacement for Devin Bush. At least as of right now, I don't know any inside linebackers that the Steelers would be able to acquire that would fill the spot for Devin Bush more than what they already have in their linebacker meeting rooms. That's kind of one of those, like, it's a huge loss losing Devin Bush. But his coverage has been suffering this year. So maybe adding what the fuck is his first name? Spillane will make some differences. But Tomlin, after the game on Sunday, gave like 3 or 4 names that could possibly be rotating through to replace Devin Bush.
To your comment about Mark Madden, fuck him. Who cares? Like, everybody on my like everybody through the timeline on my friends list always talks about Juju. Like, I've never understood how this guy is being crucified, like painted out to be, all about himself. But like, he's the leader of a wide receivers room, and he had 2 catches for 6 yards. But he's bringing energy to that locker room and being a family and building. And they're one of the most solid core from top to bottom, because who's their weak spot? Is Juju? If Juju Smith-Schuster is the weak spot of the Pittsburgh Steelers receiving core, I think we're pretty fucking okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right? Like, because you think about it. You have Claypool, you have Juju, you have James Washington, you have fucking Deontay Johnson. I mean, who's the weak spot?
Like, I obviously made this comment the other day. I don't even think the Steelers tried making him out as number 1. I think the media.
They never did. So,
I'm just answering JR's comment. Like,
understand this. If Juju Smith had Big Ben last year, Juju would not have looked like shit. We had fucking Mason Rudolph and fucking Donald Duck from Looney Tunes.
That isn't on an NFL roster right now.
Like, I'm so tired. Nobody made him out to be a number 1.
No, only the media and like goofy ass yinzers that thought he was going to replace AB.
Right, like it just
like, and me and you have been on the same page since they started chanting that number 1 wide receiver. He might be number 1 in the depth chart, or maybe he's the most veteran, so they're the guys that they look at. But position-wise, like, just how guys talk about, like, basketball. Like, your number 1 wide receiver is typically a guy that can take the top off of a defense or help stretch the coverage. Kind of like a Chase Claypool or like a
James Washington was. I thought James Washington was our number 1 last year, and then Deontay Johnson became our number 1 closer towards the end. Like, I'm so tired of the Juju hate, bro. Like, me and you even talked about it. Like, he will take a team friendly deal and stay with us. Like, this guy has came in, and like, even AB, like, when AB did that lame shit with Juju and put up how Juju messaged him when he was in college about how much he respected him, and AB was like, "Oh, you were trying to be a fan." Like, he's been painted bad because of AB and whatchamacallit. It became like, oh, Juju's trying to be the guy, and Juju think he's better because Juju was voted MVP of the team. You know what I mean? Like, that's selfish as hell, and everybody falls into it, and everybody paints Juju when all Juju wants to do is win. He doesn't care who gets the credit. He doesn't care about how many yards or stats. He gets to play football and gets paid millions of dollars to do it. Like, that's what he cares about.
Honestly, that's the one thing that
we need more Juju Smith-Schusters.
Right.
We need less of Antonio Brown.
On it, like, what's funny is and I think it's even to a better degree than it ever was, that remember whenever it was like Mike Wallace, AB, it was like AB's first year. I think Hines Ward was still there. But like they were all like they basically were all friends, and they just wanted to succeed together. That's the one thing that I see right now in the Steelers wide receiving core with Juju, James Washington, DJ.
I like that.
Mapletron.
I like that comparison.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a bigger Hines Ward, honestly.
Yeah.
But like right now, like I feel like there's no egos in the wide receiving room right now.
Right.
Like they're just happy. Like they're happy to play. Like
I don't think there's egos on a football team.
Like even not really.
Even still, like, and we can look at this. This is why I've ranked the Pittsburgh Steelers as the best team in football, because DeCastro's been hurt. Dotson's playing amazing. People talk about how we're banged up. DeCastro's hurt. We haven't noticed anything. Remember when I told you Fowler would look really good at left guard? We haven't complained about him at all. Zach Banner's going to move the left side next. He's going to stay on the right side. Okafor is going to move to the left. You know what I mean? Like, our offensive line is a family. You don't hear anything. Then you hear, like, the running back room. You got McFarland. You got Connor. You got Benny Snell. Samuels. You don't hear anything about them. On the front, on the D line, you got Hayward. You got Tuitt. You got Big Alulalu. You got, who's the other guy? Isaiah Buggs.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything. Then you got Highsmith. You got Watt. You got freaking Bud Dupree. Number 92, I don't know how to say his name. You don't hear anything. Then the secondary. It's just all about, like, we know we want to win. Like, they are molded to truly win a Super Bowl. And there's nothing that the weak spot for me is I want our offense to be smoother. Like, when we was up 10-0, we need to finish drives. But then again, that's where Finkner comes and kills us. And then Matt Canada picks it up, right? We can talk about that. But, like, Juju gets all this bad rep, bro, and I just hate it. Like, I don't like painting guys. I don't like painting guys as zebras when they're really supposed to be lions. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's my.
I think a lot of people were like, and like, I feel like he got so much hate for last year, and my dude was like hurt all year. And like, I feel like people were pissed that he was hurt, but then while hurt and couldn't get cleared for games, were pissed off that he was on TikTok and doing things with fans. And then people were pissed off that he got like a multi-million-dollar video game deal and like trying to tell him to like focus on football. Bro, he's fucking hurt. What the fuck would you like him to do?
Bro,
that's like telling any fucking athlete, fuck you, don't do those goddamn commercials. Like, just focus on football. Like, fuck you, I'm going to make money. Like,
it's funny because the thing that just popped up, somebody just sent me this. It says Claypool lives above Juju. Fun fact, Chase lives above me right now. He comes down often, eats dinner, takes all my snacks, my Uno cards. We play video games together. I would say our connection is very, very strong. Juju said about Claypool. So it's funny that somebody sent me this as we're talking about that.
But JR said Claypool is going to force Juju to take a team-friendly deal. Honestly, even if Claypool didn't come out like he did,
He was going to
I
take a
think
team-friendly
Juju
deal
is going
anyway.
to take a team-friendly deal anyway because unfortunately right now, like what the fuck's he going to do? Go down and play for fucking Jacksonville and maybe make a little bit more money? Like I'd much and like this is where we get into that weird ass realm of do I want to make money or do I want to like have some kind of legacy? And he potentially could have some form of legacy by staying with the Steelers and making some playoff runs, maybe making some NFL or Super Bowl runs. But like you don't know.
Hey, you know what's funny? I spent that $50 to buy my kitten some cat food, and he's right here being an asshole. I'm gonna get him a Lakers jersey. I'm gonna get him a Braun jersey just for you, my brother. Cause you know my fiance's from Philly, so you know Kenya, Philly just got their ass whooped by Pittsburgh. In case you didn't know, Jr., I wanted to remind you. So it was a pretty fun moment. My fiance done ripped her hair out. It was a fun night. It was a fun day. But yeah, man, what else we got for NFL?
So obviously not a smooth transition, but we'll talk about kind of. So we're getting to the middle of the season at this point. At least as of this point, Houston and Atlanta are the only teams that have fired head coaches midseason. And I say at this point because I feel like more is going to be coming by the end of the season. But so obviously everybody is focusing on Eric Bieniemy being a head coach at some point. Hopefully it's by next year, just with the success that he is having with KC. But if you're Eric Bieniemy or any other kind of head coaching prospect out of the two teams, at least as of right now, between Houston and Atlanta, who are you looking at saying, yes, I want to go into this locker room and take over this team?
Neither.
You'd rather stay just being an OC?
True shit. Like, why am I going to leave a place where I can continue to win Super Bowls and play in the playoffs to go to a fucking Houston team they're depleted? Like, if DeAndre Hopkins is there, okay, like, enticing. Throw to Will Fuller and have Deshaun Watson owed a lot of money. Laremy Tunsil, who, why the fuck did he get paid that much money? They gave away a half-bitten sandwich, as Jay Medina says. Shout out to my boy Jay Medina. And a half bag of Snyder chips for DeAndre Hopkins, but give 2 firsts and a second for Laremy Tunsil, which makes no fucking sense. Like, I just wouldn't. There's no way first of all, I would like any job that opens up this year. I don't think if I'm Bieniemy, I mean, fuck. I mean, maybe like the job who I think is going to open, the Dallas Cowboys, because I think Mike McCarthy might get fired. And they look like they do. I think he's gone. I would have none of that. Like if the Dallas Cowboys job opened up, okay, Bieniemy might do something. I can't like if Detroit opens up, I'm gonna have to think once, twice, or 3 times on that. I don't think if the Jets open up, fuck that. Man, you better
dude, that cabinet is fucking empty.
You better move Kansas City to fucking New York in order for me to go there. Seriously, like if I'm them, I'm not going anywhere. I don't. Yeah. If I'm him, I stay.
If I'm a coaching prospect at this point,
yeah.
It obviously, if those are the only 2 teams that I have to choose from, obviously Atlanta is my first choice. But at least right now, like they still don't have a fucking defense.
Right.
I mean, you think that obviously they're already talking about shopping Julio. They're talking about shopping Matt Ryan. I mean, obviously you still have what's his nuts? Hooper down there. Or not Hooper.
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, you have Hayden Hurst, so you at least have a tight end to start out with. You have Gurley.
Calvin Ridley.
That isn't the same guy. You have Calvin Ridley, thankfully. But you almost have to come in and do a Matt Rule and spend any possible draft picks on defense. I don't even know who the fuck Atlanta's backup quarterback. Fuck. George fucking Frisch.
Nah, man, but like, because and you know what I can relate this to, T? Coach Wiley. And it's no knock on him. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the grass ain't.
Son of a bitch, it is Matt Schaub. How the fuck does that motherfucker still have a contract?
But, like, the grass is not always greener on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, Bieniemy, he's going to go. I don't want him to, like, the media's forcing him to get a job somewhere, and then he goes to a failing situation. Like, and shout out to Raheem Morris, man. The Falcons came out and played good. They played aggressive. They played like they wanted to.
No, but seriously, yeah, it's Matt Schaub. I just looked at their fucking.
Bro, there's no fucking one. He's like 43. No,
that's like Luke McCowan sitting at home being an emergency quarterback for the Eagles.
But I don't know, man. I don't think any job is enticing. I'm not leaving. Because you think about any job that opened up this year, the Jets, the freaking, nope.
What?
Because I was like the Jets, the Lions, the Eagles possibly. Do you think they'll get rid of Doug Peterson? I don't think so. Health injuries are going to save his job.
Yeah, I mean that
they won the division last year.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles. Even though he hasn't done, like, he still had like not great seasons. Like you just said, he's winning enough games that he's winning the division. And like they have so many fucking injuries that they'll keep him around. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I personally just stay if I'm Eric Bieniemy. But honestly, unless I really, 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 really want a head coaching job, I stay in my current position.
Facts.
Unless I feel like my position could be fucked because of a shitty head coach or anything like that.
But it's Ed Reed, and they love him. And
No. I'm not just talking about Bieniemy. I'm talking about any possible fucking person.
Facts.
If I'm fucking Joe Judge, I'm staying being a fucking ball boy for the Patriots versus taking some of these fucking shit ass positions. Fucking staying as Bill O'Brien's ball walker.
Now, if I'm Eric Bieniemy and the Minnesota Vikings open up,
that would be the only time I would move.
I'm taking out. I'm gonna be like, because Mike Zimmer's contract is up at the end of this year, and they didn't renew it. So Minnesota is like, okay, I like what you got there. Kirk Cousins is having a shitty year, which it saddens me when Kirk Cousins is having bad years.
Riri. But the Vikings might be like the only possible move that I say, maybe.
Right.
And honestly, it might be just something very small you have to address. Also, it doesn't help that your leading running back's always getting fucking hurt, even though they just fucking paid him. Also, it doesn't help that you just lost one of your best wide receivers. Yeah, like AR said, they're like one or two pieces away.
I'm trying to think of anybody else's job that's up. Is Vic Fangio's job safe?
Just because they're young, I say yes.
Matt Nagy's job, man. Nick Foles is going to save his job.
Yeah. Basically every other coach in the NFC North is safe, either because they just got the job or they're only 1 year in.
NFC West is safe. AFC South is safe.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, because there's the Titans. Oh, no. Jacksonville, I'm not.
Jacksonville right now, that fucking whole entire organization's fucked. But so before we get to this nice little transition in the college, who do you have for the Thursday night game? So it's the New York Giants versus the Eagles. I believe they're in Philly.
The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Giants.
Philadelphia versus Meadowlands. That the last team that won in that stadium that was a home team was the currently defunct New York Guardians.
I think I'm gonna go with Philly. I think Carson Wentz gets Deshaun Jackson back finally. Hopefully he gets to stay the whole game healthy. But to your comment real quick, JR, Cleveland Stefanski is doing good. His problem is Baker Mayfield is not who we think he is. Baker Mayfield is over fucking rated.
Hold, please. Stefanski's main reason is
run the damn ball.
I still think that the Cleveland Browns and Stefanski are getting too cute with play calling and are complete. Again, I understand that your main number one running back is hurt, but Kareem Hunt's still a good running back and still a starter in the NFL. And the kid that they have playing third right now, or playing now second string, he's doing a pretty good job with a decent, very good, or I shouldn't say very good, a above average offensive line.
Well, not against Pittsburgh. So I guess I like what he does because, again, it's hard when Baker Mayfield throws the interception on the first drive. Like, I mean, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, when your offensive line looks like shit, I mean, I don't think that offensive line blocked Bud Dupree, TJ Water, Cam Hayward a single time, maybe once or twice when they ran the ball with Kareem Hunt. You know, the best kicker in the game, as we always like to call him. But I don't think it's Stefanski. It's 100% Baker. And here's my thing. And let's talk about this. Case Keenum took the Vikings to, he was close to the NFC Championship game? Or did he take them to the NFC Championship game? I think he took them against the Rams.
Yeah.
Didn't he? And,
I think so.
He falls off the face of the earth, goes to Washington. But, Case Keenum, you can put him up there with Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins. No, never mind. That's too high because he's not a top 10 guy. But
Baker's too indecisive. I agree. Baker also tries to force it to obviously his two biggest weapons, but I still think he forces it.
He doesn't force it enough to stop saying that. Odell had 4 fucking targets. Stop it.
Well, that's because Baker tried throwing it, but he threw it to the wrong fucking team.
Yeah, stop it.
But no, I mean, the Odell shenanigans with the whole shoes off on the sideline was comical. Now, granted, it was trash time, and they were getting their fucking titty scrubbed by the Steelers. So, again, pretty much everybody was out. I mean, Ben was out, Pouncey was out. for the Steelers. At least I know those two were out. They pulled Baker because he was fucking trash.
And then they pulled Keenum because he wasn't getting protected either.
Yeah, they might as well just had fucking Kareem Hunt just take direct snaps. Like I said, Baker's a big issue there, but I still believe that them.
George says the funniest shit.
Titty scrubbed is an old one, but I still think that they are absolutely screwing the pooch by not running the ball more.
I agree.
Now, again, that's my usual go-to, but actually, this is actually a perfect transition. So, speaking about the Brownies and good old Odell with his fucking Odell with his shoeless, oversized socks on the sideline. He is also going to be sidelined for the next 2 years from any LSU games. So, obviously, as many may know, during the national championship win, Odell allegedly, and I guess it was now confirmed, that he was handing out real money to players. This has also come to no real surprise. Anybody that pretty much knows college football. I didn't read the article, unfortunately, but a dad from LSU, he also got tagged with taking money from a booster. I think it was actually a significant amount of money. So I don't know the actual consequences LSU's facing. I know that they kind of handed down their own punishments, self-imposed punishments to themselves.
I think it's a joke when teams punish themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole joke with the NCAA. But obviously, the biggest funny part is obviously Odell being banned from any LSU basically events for the next 2 years. Obviously, it's unfortunate because actually he's banned from all school facilities, not just events. Correction. So again, it's funny, haha, because I like making fun of Odell as much as possible. But once again, he gets shit on. He can't go to he can't go to any of his alma mater's events.
You're on a fucking roll.
I try my best.
He got shit on.
So
you're fucking funny.
So apparently, during the investigation, the father of I'm probably gonna hack this fucking name, Vidal Anderson or Alexander, excuse me. Offensive lineman for LSU between 2012 and 15, allegedly received $180,000 in money from LSU boosters. Oh, and not only that, he got booster money, but that booster money was embezzled from Our Lady of the Lake Hospital in Baton Rouge, and then given to that player. So obviously they got the school also self-imposed recruiting limits on Coach O. So basically they get a slap on the wrist, especially because they're limiting themselves on fucking recruiting. but obviously the biggest, or I guess the biggest because it's fucking Odell, is he's banned from LSU facilities for the next 2 years. Which again, like I said, is kind of comical, but also semi-unfortunate. But that's what happens whenever you're on live fucking TV handing out fucking money. But so speaking of that, that transitions us to obviously our college. Odell is a giant fucking meathead. I feel like Odell has the mentality of an 18-year-old in a 30-some-year-old body. But so am I. So that's besides the point. Obviously, college football, the biggest thing that I'm looking at is I'm obviously with COVID, it's definitely a weird year just for optics. But my biggest thing is the surprise of how many teams are getting upset. More or less, especially in the SEC, by a team like Arkansas that going into this year was 0-16 in SEC play. So that's shocking. Obviously, like teams that not only me and Courtney talked about, but we're focusing on a lot of other analysts and I'll say floating sport heads, kind of like a UNC that they were highly kind of sought after going into the season. Whether you want to look at it as the optics of COVID or just the idea that going into this year they had a lot of hype behind them. Obviously, Oklahoma dropping the games that they did was huge.
Ole Miss fucking sucks.
Ole Miss, Auburn just took the L. I mean, at this rate, I mean, I think it's Bama's like the only team in the SEC that is undefeated. And outside of the dominating factor that they looked like against Georgia after halftime, obviously Ole Miss had them on the ropes, and then they kind of took over. So that was kind of surprising. Obviously, the ACC, I continue to look at it as it's Clemson's conference to lose. Obviously, a big game this weekend, and we'll talk about it. NC State plays NC State plays UNC. Both have one loss, but are kind of in that like 1B, 2 category in the ACC right now. Maybe like 2B with Notre Dame, which I still think they're unproven. But
they were ranked number 3, and they fucking been struggling. Fuck Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame put only 12 points on Louisville, which Louisville's looked like dog shit this year. But like I said, so far this college season is very surprising. To be fair, at least out of me and Courtney's pick'ems, especially for the college football rankings, we've actually been doing pretty well. At this point, me and Courtney are both 72-19 through week 7. Obviously, we're in week 8 of college football, but we didn't do the first week because there was only like 3 teams that actually played that at the time was worth anything. So for the most part, it's very interesting. So real quick, answering comments, Vic, the idea of LSU banning OBJ, I think it's, again, just like I said, it's an optics thing. The 2-year ban is kind of interesting, considering they mostly do only like 1-year bans or 1-year restrictions. But I think LSU. I don't know if I'll say they're trying to send a message, but I feel like not only the money thing hurt OBJ in the whole LSU thing, but then the potential charge that he almost faced for slapping a security guard. I don't know if it was a security guard or a cop on the ass during the national championship. I think the optics of that also hurt him. So that possibly would have been what pushed it to 2 years between the passing out the money and then slapping the officer on the ass. Obviously didn't help.
So I think for me, the SEC fucking sucks. Like
this year's the first year where it's very hard. Like I obviously have to look at the breakdown of the standings again, but this is one of the first years where I genuinely can say that like the SEC, like I'll say top 5 isn't nearly as impressive as years past.
Well, nobody looks impressed. I mean, to be honest, Clemson is the only one that look like they remember how to play football. Like Florida State beats a tough ass North Carolina team, gets embarrassed by Miami, gets embarrassed every other week, but then they play like, bro, I'm just so Ole Miss freaking goes pound for pound with Alabama, throwing punches left and right, and then get their ass whooped by Arkansas. Arkansas loses the fuck. Bro, give me a break.
Yeah, this year's definitely very weird.
Bo Nix looks like he forgot how to play a position of quarterback, and everybody wants to fight him because he fucking sucks right now. Like,
right? Honestly, optics wise, my 3 favorite team, like I shouldn't say 3 favorite teams. My 3 teams that I feel like know what the fuck's going on is
BYU,
Bama, Clemson, and BYU.
fact.
Those 3 schools, at least right now, look like they actually know, like, hey, motherfucker, we're playing football. Like, outside of that, there's a lot of teams that, like, they just don't look like they know what the fuck's going on. And obviously it's showing, like teams like Arkansas and Tennessee that have been traditionally very bad, and Tennessee starting out with a ranking and then also losing hurts them obviously tremendously. But a team like Arkansas that is once again traditionally a SEC doormat coming out and knocking teams off that like nobody was surprised about, or a bunch of people that were surprised about, is very, very, very interesting to me. I'm trying to pull up who SMU looks good, but they've also been looking very shitty in games.
So
Notre Dame undefeated. They look like shit. What's that?
To answer some of AR's questions,
Ohio
State resumes play this weekend. They have
Nebraska.
Nebraska. What's your opinion on Justin Fields? My opinion on Justin Fields is I have this big thing against Ohio State quarterbacks because Ryan Day is able to call such great plays that they're open. So, like, you can tell them, throw to the number 1 receiver, throw to the number 2 on this receiver, throw to this guy because he's going to be open. Because Ohio State is just better than everybody else they play. So when they get to the NFL, they struggle, which is why I would put Lawrence over Fields. But I think Fields can be better. I don't really like short quarterbacks. I mean, that's what it. everybody's giving a benefit of the doubt to give him, oh, this could be the next Drew Brees. But, like, that's not going to happen. Like, everybody can't be Drew Brees, you know? So that's my opinion. I hope he does horrible against Michigan. He can do good against everybody else. And I hope he has success in the NFL. And then Spencer Rattler, overrated. Or not overrated, but I think Oklahoma just as a whole just fucking sucks. Like, their defensive coordinator, but their defense has been atrocious, but it's at all-time highs. And then they just don't have the guy. They don't have CeeDee Lamb peeking in. They don't have a Joe Mixon at running back. So, it's just different. I think you got to just wait it out, and he'll be better next year.
Yeah, so, again,
real coaching has shown what's going on this year. You can see who the real coaches are. Like teams like Louisiana, who nobody expected them to come out and be who they are. Coastal Carolina, nobody expected them to be who they are. BYU is the most unexpected team who is punching everybody in the face and doing it in a dominant way, which is why I don't understand how you can say BYU is not better than Notre Dame right now, which I think is a joke. But I'm just sad, man. George, I thought it was going to be a great year. I thought, okay, there's going to be no Big Ten, so Michigan doesn't have to lose to Ohio State. But then they're coming back, and I'm just sad. It's not a good day. It's not a good week for me.
Yeah. So to piggyback off you, well, obviously not answering the Ohio State thing since it's already been answered. But again, I really like Justin Fields as a college quarterback. I do agree with Courtney that it's very easy to be very good at Ohio State, especially in the recent years that typically in the Big Ten, Ohio State usually only has to face like maybe one or two good opponents in Michigan is also not started yet. Big Ten opens up this weekend. Technically, they open up as of Thursday with Wisconsin. But then this is their first weekend. So at least as of right now, no Big Ten, no MAC, no Mountain West. Those are the three conferences that I can think of. No Pac-12. They don't start till the beginning of November, which obviously we're not far out of, which blows my mind. I can't believe it's almost November again or already. But with Justin Fields, I think he's a really good quarterback. I also think that unless he's able to learn, he's going to struggle at the next level, just like the rest of the Ohio State quarterbacks. It's just unfortunately a trend for Ohio State that either they're not prepared or they're not taught to learn very well. But they definitely struggle at the next level. Even Cardale Jones that had stellar 3 weeks in the XFL. Then week 4 happened and he threw 4 picks. So that
he was like, wait, you mean these guys are moving?
Yeah. But I really like Justin Fields. I hope if he gets into the right opportunity, he's going to really excel. Unfortunately for quarterbacks that are expected to go in the first round, they don't typically end up in a opportunity to excel. And then with Spencer Rattler, I was kind of high on him, mainly watching QB1 on Netflix. But now seeing him in game, he looks like a fucking freshman. I think playing in Nevada, I believe he was at, he was a big fish in a small pond. And now, even though I don't know if he was behind. No, he wouldn't have been behind Kyler. But he would have came in at the tail end of Kyler in the spring. So I know he enrolled early. But then sitting behind
Jalen
Hurts, you would have hoped he would have learned more. Obviously, real gameplay obviously makes the biggest difference versus practice and like just watching film. But at least recently, watching his games, he's making very freshman mistakes. And we know that Lincoln Riley isn't going to hold back a kid. He's going to let them play. But I think there's been opportunities that he's been able to maybe use his legs like he's able to, but he forces the ball. And unfortunately, that's costed him 2 losses against not good opponents. Obviously, they won against Texas. But again, we'll see as it kind of rolls around. Unfortunately, them not being in the top 25, me and Courtney really don't pick their games as much unless they're on like a Thursday or Friday.
Nor do they deserve it.
But I do definitely want to check out more of their games to see how he kind of progresses, because again, he was very good in high school.
So was I. So were you. Next.
But outside of that, the 2 surprises for me, outside of the upsets that we've seen so far in college football, is we've had 2 players opt out mid-season, one of which it was like midweek. So I have to look up their names real quick. But it was the one kid from Memphis. He was actually the second one third player to decide to opt out this year for the Memphis Tigers, unfortunately. But it was the wide receiver. What the hell was his name?
Besides Clemson, who's the best right now? I love Bama.
Bama's like honestly, unfortunately, right now, I still think Bama kind of still has like kinks in their armor. But
Kinks or kinks?
Yes. It's just like your cocktail.
My what?
Your cocktail comment. Riding people's cocktails. You're a mess.
You said that's just like your cock.
No, your cocktails comment. People riding cocktails.
Yeah, cocktails, cocktails.
It's Demont Coxey, wide receiver for Memphis that decided to opt out. I forget the other kid. God damn it. I should have wrote that down. Either way, it's still surprising that midweek or mid-season people were deciding to opt out. Granted, whenever Oregon got the AOT that the Pac-12 was coming back, some of their DBs decided to opt back in. Obviously, their best player, arguably, with Penei Sewell, is still decided to opt out, which kind of hurts me just because it was fun to watch him play as an offensive lineman. With things starting back up, outside of obviously Bama being the best, I honestly foresee Ohio State being one of the better teams until they run into Penn State and Lamont Wade. I think that game's going to be a hell of a week. Honestly, depending on how the quarterback play goes, I think Oregon's still going to do very well. They also lucked out that they're only playing the Pac-12 North, and they only pulled like UCLA out of the South, which is very lucky for them. And again, I'm an Oregon Duck fan, but they fucking lucked out, especially since They struggle, especially down in Arizona. But now only the idea that check that. They do have Stanford out of the South. But they have Stanford, Washington State, Oregon State, UCLA, Cal, and Washington. So, I mean, that's winnable for them. Me and Courtney probably still solid on this. I know I do. I still think the Big Ten and Pac-12 should go piss off and go maybe play in their own little playoff, maybe. But it's going to be hard having teams only playing 6 to 8 games when other teams are playing 10 to 12. That's just not normal. I mean, shit, at this rate, Air Force is going to play more games than Ohio State.
Poor little Air Force.
Poor little Tink Tink.
The Navy still had motherfuckers dead since the BYU game, by the way. They still ain't recovered.
Well, I haven't seen Army play, but
I picked them mother flippers. Who did they lose to?
What game did you pick fucking Army to beat?
Never again.
I forget.
It was
But Army, obviously, Army Navy at the end of the year is still one of the best games ever.
We getting some pick'ems done?
Yes, sir. That's what I was going to get to next. So obviously, if you're a fan that always watches our show, so me and Courtney does college pick'ems every week, just like we do with the rest of the Loudmouth crew with NFL. But how me and Courtney usually do it, we do the top 25 plus any teams that play on any of the odd days. So like last week, there was like a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night games. This week, it's only Thursday and Friday, I believe, outside of the Saturday, obviously. So we're going to jump into that.
They played Cincy.
Oh, yeah. That didn't work out.
Not at all.
Not at all. So to start off our college pick'ems, it's going to be Thursday. So oddly, it's tomorrow. Now that we didn't do it on a Tuesday. But so you have Arkansas State that has been playing really well, but they go down to App State in, I think they're North Carolina, South Carolina, one of those places. North Carolina. I should have known that. Who you got?
App State. App State's a very good. I like App State.
Yeah, they're also given 13 points in this game. So Friday night got some interesting games. The main highlight's going to be the open of the Big Ten, which I'm surprised it's not on ESPN. But so you're going to have Wisconsin versus Illinois, and Wisconsin's ranked at 14, welcoming Illinois in.
I'm going to go with Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was hoping so.
I want to see who their next running back of the future is going to be.
Yeah, seriously. After Jonathan Taylor and his dominating career there, it's going to be very interesting. I actually got to look up who that kid's going to be. So we have some interesting ass games on that night. Also, so you have Jacksonville State versus Florida Atlantic. Jacksonville State is at 2-1. But then Florida Atlantic is 0-2, but Florida Atlantic or Florida International, not Florida Atlantic, is favored by 10 points.
I don't know. Jacksonville State Uh,
Jackson. Wait, is this year? Oh, I guess it is. Jacksonville State's one of the only other Florida State wins.
AR, that's the wrong team. Dion is at Jackson State, HBCU. Not the same.
No, this is Jacksonville State.
Yeah, not the same college. Plus, he's not there right now.
Yeah, no. Dion has until next year.
I like the mentality, though.
You're going to go with the spread?
Yeah, I'll take the spread.
All right, so FIU you'll take. The next one's going to be Tulsa versus UCF or USF. Pretty much every game so far that USF has played in, outside of the one fucking time that I bet a goddamn against them, they've got absolutely smoked in. Actually, they gave Temple a run last week, but Temple's also not supposed to be good this year.
Who did you pick in that last one?
Tulsa.
No, the one before.
FIU, definitely.
Okay. I'll go with Tulsa. Tulsa's they're a good team.
Yeah, they are. And then this one you should like. So Louisiana comes off of a loss to play UAB down in UAB.
Ooh.
This one's actually going to be very interesting. So Louisiana is only given 1 point. So I'm assuming they're calling this a close game, obviously. UAB's also been playing very well this year.
That is tough. Like, ooh, I'm gonna do this by the faith of my heart. My Raging Cajuns played a good Coastal Carolina team last week with the small offensive line that ran the ball down their throat. Bruh, this is hard because I know you're gonna go fucking opposite of me because you hate me.
Because you hate me.
I'm gonna go with UAB.
Damn it.
They're a good football team. Like, I was watching their game against did they beat Coastal Carolina?
No, Coastal Carolina right now is undefeated.
Who did they beat? UAB beat they beat Arkansas State or something. I don't
hold on. UAB pretty much beat, so they're 4-1 right now. Their only loss right now is against Miami. But they beat Central Arkansas 45-35, which that game was a fucking shootout. UAB beat Southern Alabama. They beat the University of Texas San Antonio. And then this past week they beat Western Kentucky. But I am also actually going with UAB. That was my pick before you even said anything. I was hoping you were going to go with Louisiana.
I want to. No, if it was in Louisiana, okay. I guess I'm doing a show by myself. Anyway, should I go with UAB, guys? What do you think? Louisiana, man, they just had a hard loss. They just look bad. It's hard, guys. Like, I think, like, I never know who to, like, whenever my heart, like, when I really like a football team, it's like I'd be sitting there and I'd be like, yo, I'm about to pick them regardless, you know? But then it's like, hey.
I don't know what happened. I went to type in Pitt and everything closed out.
All right. It's getting really late. Holy shit.
Yeah, I know. Where'd it go? We'll bang through these real quick. So Notre Dame visits Pitt. I don't know about you, but I know we've talked about it in the past.
I ain't picking Pitt a fucking game.
No?
Nope. Even though I hate Notre Dame, Pitt looks. They don't know. They still. Narduzzi's job is hot.
Yeah, put it this way, it has to be at this point. Just because he doesn't seem to know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Or put it this way, he doesn't know what's going on, so it's trickling downhill.
Agreed.
So we both got Notre Dame for that game. Unfortunately, as much as I want to go with Pitt, I can't. Clemson hosts Syracuse. I'm assuming you're going with Clemson.
Absolutely.
Ohio State plays Nebraska. They're at home in the shoe. I'm assuming you're picking Ohio State, unfortunately.
Yes.
I also am, unfortunately. So this is going to be one of the bigger games, in my opinion, for this weekend, outside of looking at the non-ranked games. It's going to be NC State versus North Carolina.
I'm going to go with North Carolina.
Yeah, I honestly think, even though I liked how NC State played Pitt, I think UNC comes into this game pissed off and win.
Utah State only might put up 7 points.
Yeah. Next game, Kansas versus Kansas State. Even though the Mad Hatter is at Kansas right now,
Kansas State versus who?
K-State versus Kansas. So it's a rivalry game.
Go ahead and just pick it. I don't give it. Who cares?
Outside of that, Georgia Southern visits Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina. Shout out to the little offensive line. Holding it down.
Yep. FAU visits Marshall. I'm going to go with Marshall. I just think they've been playing very well lately.
AU. Is that Florida Atlantic?
Florida Atlantic, yeah.
Lane Kiffin ain't there to save you.
Yeah.
That's where he was, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Bama plays Tennessee. I feel like Bama's going to show another reason why Tennessee shouldn't have been fucking ranked this year.
I'm going with Tennessee. No, I'm not. I'm joking.
Don't lie.
I'm going with Tennessee whiskey to watch them get their ass whooped.
Iowa State visits Oklahoma State. This is actually going to be a very good game, in my opinion. It's also one of the only games that are ranked versus ranked.
Is Oklahoma State meeting your standards, or are they letting you down?
Honestly, they haven't fucking played in like 3 weeks, so I haven't been able to watch them, honestly. They've either played teams that had COVID, or, well, the game got postponed because of a team they were supposed to face had COVID, or they had issues with COVID.
Who's home? That's who will decide my pick.
It is at Stillwater, so Oklahoma State.
I'm picking Oklahoma State.
All right. Penn State goes to Indiana. I think Penn State takes this one.
Indiana's getting better, but my boy Lamont Wade, I was talking to him, he's on a fucking mission.
Yeah. I mean, being on that top safety list in the nation, I'd hope he'd be. But yeah, I think that entire team has something to prove, especially with this shortened season. This is going to be another rivalry game and also a ranked game. It's going to be Michigan versus Minnesota up in Minnesota. Obviously, opening weekend of Big Ten, but then a nice ranked game to start that weekend out.
Do you see the difference? Ohio State gets to skate and play nobody their first week. Fucking Michigan comes out the fucking boom. But I'm going with Michigan. I'm going to continue. Michigan will win the Big Ten. Bold statement. You can book it. Michigan's going to win the Big Ten.
All right, well, I'm going with row the boat, so that's going to be one of our differing picks this week.
Whatever. I ain't worried about you.
Virginia goes down to Miami. Unfortunately, I feel like Virginia's going to get their doors blown off by the Hurricanes.
Absolutely.
Cincy visits down to Texas, specifically Dallas, to take on SMU. Man.
I like Cincy. Cincy just got a good thing going right now.
Yeah, I mean, who was that? SMU is just playing a team. SMU almost just lost to Tulane this past week. SMU also almost lost to Memphis, which is also another good team. So yeah, I'm going to go with Cincy as well. I was going to give SMU a chance, but then I remembered that my Green Waves almost beat them. And then this is going to be a unfortunate game for Texas State. They have to face BYU at BYU, and BYU is given 30 points. I'm assuming you're also going with BYU.
Yeah.
Copy. So let's see. So our only differing picks, the Michigan-Minnesota game, which I'm good with. But then outside of that, we're going to have some fun. Check my noties. That's it for me, brother. I mean, between college and NFL, we hit a bunch of shit. Anything else that you have that you wanted to talk about, or anything that you thought about?
Nah, brother, I'm ready to.
Sorry.
We're all good.
No. AR, we both unfortunately went with Notre Dame. As much as I'd love to go with Pitt, unfortunately, they're just confused as a team right now. 1 week they play amazing offense with no defense. Then the defense stands up and the offense isn't there. Then the next week, everything looks like shit because the coaches have no clue what the fuck they're doing. But yeah, that's it for Into the Trenches this week, guys, gals. As always, go to get your Loudmouth merch. bombshellbowling.com/loudmouth sports talk. Get them hoodies. They're super comfortable. Obviously, it's getting chilly out too. Not so much today. It was nice today. So that way you could bust out your nice Loudmouth shirt. But outside of that, man, you know what it is.
Run the damn ball.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you later. Everybody, thanks for showing up. Everybody that was in the comments tonight, thank you very much. That's always what me and Courtney are looking at. Looking for that interaction is always fun. Y'all stay pretty. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy some football tomorrow. And we'll talk to you next week. All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.